Education Minister Angie Motshekga is to announce the national matric pass rate for the class of 2016 this afternoon. That announcement will be made in Midrand, north of Johannesburg, this evening. Well, for more on that, we cross live now to our reporter Aldrin Sampear in Midrand. He's on the floor already, garnering comment, we understand this hour, from Teachers Union SADTU.
Well, we are live at Midrand Voter World, where we're waiting on Minister of Education Angie Motshekga to make that live announcement whether the matric results have increased or have decreased. If you just saw the visuals of people still making their way here to Voter World, where that announcement will be made. And of course, all eyes will be on Minister Angie Motshekga with regards to the final results. What will be happening now in the auditorium is the technical briefing with regards to the results, because it gets quite technical sometimes. And right now I'm joined by the SADTU's General Secretary, Mugwena Maluleke. Thank you so much for joining us. What's SADTU's expectations of these results?
Thank you for having us. We expect an improvement in the overall percentage for 2016, but we also expect an improvement in terms of those learners who will qualify for bachelors as well as diplomas, but also an improvement in terms of how the districts have performed, because that is where we have been putting some efforts and our attention.
Earlier on, while we were speaking, you were saying that you might have an overall increase in terms of the number of students who have, or pupils who have passed the National Senior Certificate, but then the bottom line for SADTU is looking or focusing or zooming in on those who have received the bachelor entrance.
Yes, our concern over the years has been how best we can do in order to improve the bachelors, because those are the people that will be able to enroll in higher education institution to make a contribution in the economy for our country. We have unemployment, we have inequality, and we believe that it can change their lives, it can change the lives of our people if we have got so many of them being able to qualify. These are human beings, they are not just a statistics. That's why we need to ensure that we do not just concentrate on everyone in terms of a pass. It must be a quality pass rather than just a quantitative pass.
Do you think that if you focus just on, because with the bachelors, normally the number comes to just over 100. I think last year, if I'm not mistaken, it was 150 plus thousand students who got bachelor entrance. But then again, on the other hand, you're facing a number of 350,000. And this year we see that the numbers increased. The number of pupils is standing at about 800,000, close to 1 million pupils who wrote the National Senior Certificate. What happens to those then who don't get those university entrance, who don't qualify to go to a university or to a higher education?
Those who will be qualifying for diploma so that they can get to university technologies of university or University of Technologies, as well as your further education and training, the TVET and so forth. However, we are saying that it is important that we concentrate in terms of our efforts when we teach. It is that we must make sure that everyone else must be able to access higher education. So that is a target that we are putting for ourselves, to say the quality of education can only be measured if all our learners are able to qualify for bachelors. Not necessarily that those who qualify for diplomas are not qualified. However, we are saying it's important that we understand the importance of the qualification, and because that is the highest mark that you can get.
How do you get there?
Anyone who got above 60% basically is what you are going to be required to do engineering. You need to be able to have above 60% in terms of the subjects that you are passing. And universities normally will be demanding even above 60% for engineering, for any other course that you are going to be doing. So, and that's what we need in a country. Artisan, you need more than 50% to pass to be able to qualify to go to a TVET or a technology university. And therefore, that is what we need to be concentrating on, rather than to be concentrating on the lower pass mark.
But speaking about the education itself in its current form, is it really possible to have a situation where we have, you see with the private schools, they recently made the announcement, it's close to 99.9% of the students that would have passed there. The number's quite big. And then you compare that to government schools, it's not as huge. And then on the other hand, those who qualify for tertiary education, when you look at the ratio is higher at private schools compared to at basic education schools in government public schools. So the question then is, where is the problem?
Well, let me correct it. The ratio is high in terms of public schools for those who qualify for university entrances, because we're talking big numbers here. I mean, the numbers are big. I mean, they're making about 4%. We're making 94%, 96%.
No, but
in terms of the qualified,
in terms
bachelors.
of the ratio of students, if you compare the ratio of students who qualify to get a university entrance at a private school compared to a public school, it's high at a private school.
No, it's not.
It is.
No. In terms of the numbers of learners who write, IBE or independent and so forth, you can say that is high. But once you start comparing it with the number of those who graduate from public school, you will realize that the numbers are higher in public schooling. For example, if you take quintile 1 to quintile 3, you would have almost about 70,000 of learners who would qualify from those particular schools that are poor. And then when you take your former model schools, which are public schools themselves, you would have almost about 65% or 65,000 or 70,000. That then becomes a big issue, because it means more than 100,000 of the students qualify as compared to your private institution. They're not even about 50,000.
And then when you look at these private schools and you look at the infrastructure that they have, because that's another issue, even if you look at the results that will be announced probably today, the expectation is again that provinces such as Gauteng and the Western Cape will be better performing. It's always those two provinces that are competing for the #1 post. And it speaks to the infrastructure at these different schools and these two different provinces.
Definitely. It is that obviously we are having two systems in one. You have got the system for the rich and the system for the poor. So rural provinces will always be lagging behind. Okay. However, they are making an improvement. They are improving every year, and they are giving us the number of learners that we need for diplomas, the numbers of bachelors that they are coming from these particular rural schools now, as compared to what we have been seeing in the past. So the pendulum is changing. So there's an improvement, and then we need to acknowledge that the teachers in those particular areas where there's no infrastructure, where there's a deficit in terms of social capital, they are doing their best to ensure that these learners do qualify. So you ask the question, what do we do then? We need to not concentrate on grade 12. We need to concentrate on early childhood development. That's what the NDP is saying. And if we can get to be implementing everything that is in the NDP, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about intervention for grade 12, would not be sitting here talking about supplementary examination for that, because we shall have got the basics right, and the foundation is at the foundation phase.
Well, thank you so much. There you have it from the SADTU General Secretary speaking there about the results that we are anticipating to be announced by the Minister of Basic Education, Angie Motshekga. Right now, we are showing you live visuals of inside the auditorium, where we have the Deputy Minister Angie Motshekga, who is officiating around the details around the technical briefing that is currently underway with regards to the subjects and how the government or the education department got to the numbers that they're currently standing at. But of course, as I've indicated, that official announcement will only be made by the Minister of Basic Education, Angie Motshekga, and that will be live on SABC 1 at 6 o'clock. It's back to you in studio.
Well, that was our reporter Aldrin Sampear, of course, coming to us from World in Midrand, where Basic Education Minister Angie Motshekga will be releasing the national matric pass rate for the class of 2016 at 6 p.m. Now, the SABC is the official broadcaster for these results, and we will continue our rolling live coverage throughout the afternoon, so do stay tuned. Aldrin, of course, chatting to teacher union SADTU there. SADTU's expecting an overall improvement in the national matric result, and the numbers of those who can expect the bachelor passes. SADTU also emphasizing the need to concentrate not only on the quantity but the quality of these passes. The union also saying that more focus needs to be placed on early childhood development. Well, matrics can send their ID and student numbers to 35658 to access their results. Now, both these numbers must have 13 digits in order to be accepted. SMSs cost R1 each. Free SMSs do not apply. Pupils and learners can also dial *120 *356 583, type in their ID number and exam number to register. Once those results are available, they then will get those results per subject.